So what's up, guys? Jake here again. It is actually, as I'm recording this, the Tuesday after tour is over, and I am pretty much in full woke flu action right now. Not feeling the greatest, but spirits are high, so that's all I can have, right? And this video is for Charleston Night too, because I've just been so I don't know, kind of out of it. After the show, I go back, crash, and then pretty much sleep until I get to the show the next day. So a few days late on this one, but I don't know, I just re-listened to it on the driving up from South Carolina up to Connecticut. So I did another re-listen of the show, so it's nice and fresh in my mind still. And first we'll start off with how the day went that day. I believe I got over, I had the hotel, so I woke up, I think I uploaded an edit that I had done, got that on YouTube, and then, I grabbed a bite to eat and I made my way to the lots. Got there around, I think it was like 4 o'clock or so, something like that. So, I had there, a fair amount of time to kind of walk around and do my thing. Met up with the Providence buddies that I'd met with them on lot for a little bit, and then just walked around, interviews, beer roll shots, the whole documentary thing. So a lot was pretty popping on Saturday, like it was on Friday. A lot of people there. I got in there a little bit earlier on Saturday, where it was still a lot of people on the lot itself. It was before, doors and people were trying to get inside. So a lot of people were just on the lot hanging out, partying, enjoying, having a good time. Overall, a very successful camera day, I guess you could say. I then headed into the show around 7:30. It was all GA, same thing as the day before. Get in line, go up, go pick your seat, whatever. So I met up with the Providence gang for this one. They're all there for that, and we were in like the low 200s on Mike's side, right on the side of the stage, almost like parallel with the band, just about. It's a really cool view. Sound was nice from there too, because they have speakers all around the stage on the top, projecting in any direction you're in, front, side, behind, wherever you are, you could hear it well. I think in the high 200s it gets a little shoddy sound wise, just because of the acoustics of the venue, but volume wise you can hear it very well from anywhere. It's just trying to get all of the different frequencies kind of in line with each other. And at the very top, where I was at night one during set 2, I was behind the stage at the very, very top, because I just wanted a spot I could kind of chill during set break. And I ended up sticking out the whole second set there. And it was very, I don't know, I could hear Trey like extremely loud in the mix. And this is something that I don't know if I brought up before, but I feel Trey generally is borderline too loud in the mix at the majority of shows I go to be honest. It's obviously a preference thing. I think that in general, he's kind of looked at as kind of the, I guess, the leader of the group. And I think that a lot of people listen for him the most in the first place, I feel. Definitely not everybody. Definitely there's moments I just will, I don't know, I kind of, it's funny to say how I think I listen to him. I kind of will hop around from member to member, or try to just listen to it in like a group sound, and it's kind of hard to do that when Trey's very loud in the mix. But from where we were sitting, it was pretty well balanced. I feel I could hear all the members very well, and I got a nice view of them right on the side of the stage there. So musically, song 1, set 1 opened up Fluffhead right out of the gates. That got people like wild, Fluffhead openers, just, it's kind of, they did it at Hampton, and I think they did it at SPAC this year. It was either opener or the second song they did it at SPAC. I remember they did it very early on one of the nights. But it's a way to get the crowd going. Everyone loves a good Fluffhead. Nice long composed section. It was played fairly tightly all the way through. Listening back on the recording as I just did, it sounded tighter and cleaner than it felt when I was there, to be honest. I think it had something to do with how I perceived, I guess, Trey's dynamic range. He was actually playing some of the really thoroughly composed parts just a bit quieter than he normally does, and it was I got flies flying around in here. Anyway, it was kind of harder to hear it live, but in the recording, he played it very clean. The whole band played it very cleanly. That's a way to get the show started. After that, played a few more tunes. They hit Reba, another like big composed, thoroughly, lengthy song. The composition section was pretty clean again after listening back to it. Then during the Reba jam itself, I just had a moment of like, I don't know, it's like a moment of elation. It's such a beautiful jam. It's one of those jams that really just will always put me in my happy place, kind of, for lack of a better word. And even though it wasn't like a shredding, on fire, as far as Trey's part goes, it was still just very melodic and just built very well, and it was patient. It wasn't rushed. So after the Fluffhead opener and that, Reba, those two songs along already, to me, made this a great first set, period, just by playing those. And they played a few more songs there during that first set. I don't like to go through every single one, but they hit Gaiuti. And surprisingly, Fishman's had a couple stumbles in it. At one point, he almost completely stopped playing. It was during one of the builds, like where it gets really dark. Right before that kind of big peak towards the end, Trey and Paige are kind of doing like the it's kind of hard to replicate vocally, especially being sick. But Fishman just kind of stopped playing for a little bit. He lost his kind of feel there, and it didn't bother me at all. I mean, every other time I've seen him, and he's honestly probably one of the most consistent members. I'd probably say him and Mike are probably like the most error-proof, I guess, out of the other members. Nothing against Paige and nothing against Trey, but they seem to be like rock solid just about at every show. So it was kind of funny to see. It didn't ruin the song at all for me. It's like you deserve a get out of jail free card kind of a thing, and it just shows that he is human, And then the set closer, I was not expecting it all. It's one of those tunes I thought was kind of, they kind of had stopped playing it, but Moon Age Daydream, David Bowie cover, that really got me just excited. Really great way to close the set. Set break came, yada yada yada, and then set 2 came. Open up with The Connection. One of those tunes that's kind of rare, you don't see it all too often, and it's it wasn't really jammed out too much, but it's I don't know, nice to see. And then Mr. Completely started jamming that puppy out into Cross-Eyed and Pain This. Continue to jam that puppy out. And at one point during either Mr. Completely or the Cross-Eyed jam, during one of those jams, Trey started doing the little drummer boy tease. And it's one of those things to me that it's like, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not going to kill the show to me, but it just seems kind of gimmicky to me, to be entirely honest. I've seen it at like the New Year's runs and stuff like that before. And it's alright to throw it in for like a few bars. It's like, oh yeah, it's holiday time, but they kind of like riffed on it this time. They did it like straight through like twice. And I was originally, at first I'm just like, alright, this is, let's get back to the jam. Trey initiated it like for a third time, kind of unexpectedly, but it was in like a minor key. So it was like really dark. It was like an evil little drummer boy. And I was like, oh wow, this is, I felt it was kind of like a impromptu, kind of spontaneous kind of thing, because the band didn't catch on to it immediately. I think that they thought he was just going into like a minor key to get back into the jam, but they caught on, and it was cool, really fun to see. The evil little drummer boy. And then Dirt, love that tune. They whistled the little drummer boy, beginning of Dirt, and I was actually kind of like, all right, this is getting played out too much, but still love Dirt. Dirt's awesome. And then Cool Amber, Mercury, and then Split Open and Melt. Very unique Split Open and Melt. The composed section was a little on the sloppy side, to be honest, even after re-listening to it. I don't know, I'm more there for the jam. The way I see it is, as long as they don't completely train wreck it, I'm fine with some sloppy renditions, they have a lot of these, like, they played a lot of these intricately proggy songs, and it's alright if, I'd rather see them play a bunch of them, and have them not just playing safe mode and, you know, kind of have errors versus just sticking to the safe, simple kind of tunes. And so that was no problem to me. But the jam, Spit Open and Melt jam, started off kind of like a little slow, you know, nothing too out of the norm, kind of just holding the groove. And then all of a sudden the drums cut out, and I have a perfect view of Fishman. He turns around and he goes back to the marimba Lumina. And then the band and everyone just they all just completely lose. There's no time signature now at this point. It's completely out of time. It's just like this spacious, kind of textured, just dark kind of feeling. And Fishman was playing these samples that reminded me of like what the Dead does in like current day drums space kind of stuff, where it's just synthy, like kind of washing textures, but it's kind of hard to put into words, to be honest, but it's not just like a flat synth. It's like I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know, I can't replicate it. It's just its own thing. And he did that. He stuck there doing that for a while, and the rest of the band was just kind of doing like, you know, ambient kind of type stuff. And then Trey started like kind of like doing like these like subtle kind of swells that weren't like necessarily in a time. They weren't like completely consistent, but like he'd like keep swelling and just very subtly, not enough to like kind of like push it to go back into the jam. And then I think Fishman got to the point where he's like, all right, I've had enough of the marimba Lumina. He got back on the kit and started raging the kit for the rest of the jam. And then, of course, getting back out of it, they did a little drummer boy tease, which, you know, I'm not going to complain about after seeing a jam that unique and just out. I don't know. It was like no other Split Open and Melt I've ever heard. Then after the little drummer boy tease, they went back into Cross-Eyed and Painless. You know, the still waiting kind of stuff. Still waiting. And then after that, went back into the ending of Spit Open and Melt. They played Wilson, and I think they might have saved it for this show because there's a town called Wilson that's near the venue. I remember seeing it on the highway down there. And I don't know, I just remember seeing Wilson signs, so maybe that's why they played it. And then ended it with Squirm and Coil. And then for the encore, Grind, always fun to see. And then Paige broke out the guitar, and they ended with Frankenstein. So, great show, to be honest. I hate trying to rank the shows, but I'm just trying to put it in like some sort of comparison, because you can say it's good, but yeah, it's good like, I don't know, good for this tour, or is good as in the whole history of Phish. Like, I don't know, but I think it was better. I think it was just as good, if not a little bit better, than the first night. But I had a lot of fun, great time. And then show got out, made it back to my car, got out there relatively early, and I had just went back to my hotel and then just slept. As you can tell, the Wook flu is, I don't know if my voice sounds any different at all, but it definitely feels different. But thank you guys for sticking through, watching it, checking it out. I have one more dispatch video that I'm going to do. I'll probably record that tonight when I get home, or at some point before I get home. I'm in Pennsylvania now, and I'm headed up to Connecticut, and it is the Tuesday after the tour is over. So yeah, I'll have that one coming day after this one is posted. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate it if you hit like, if you comment, subscribe, you know, post it in whatever Phish groups you're in, forums, websites, whatever. So that's it. I'm Jake. We'll see you on that.